Okay. Um, is another discussion on classism. Okay, so one of the manifestation is not a good word. One of the expressions of classism. Um, well, there's a few. Noblesse Oblige is one of them, which is the sense that because you're better off, you know better, and therefore you have to take care of those peons, those Euro peons. Anyway, so or whatever it might be. So that's sort of the Noblesse Oblige is a bit like this. Turning your nose up all the poor people, and I'm thinking that they're all stupid. Um, but it's got a sort of helper's mentality to it. They all need assistance. Dear. Look at them with poor people. Those, like, Noblesse Oblige can be expressed as, these homeless people, we'll give them some bread. We'll give those homeless people some bread. But they won't use their food stamps and pensions to go to the shop just for one. It's a house they don't have. We can't do that. We can't do anything to challenge the housing market or the capitalist system. We'll give them some bread, So that's Noblesse Oblige. Okay. Um. Okay. So, um, obviously the correct revolutionary conduct to solve the whole homelessness problem would be to question the housing market and the real estate business and various and sundry markets that are involved in that, and the structure of the society and corporate regulations and whatever, and conveyancing and whatever it is it might be that's preventing people from getting housing. That would qualify as an actual act of solving the problem of homelessness, particularly when you're talking about people who, there are people in major cities around the world who have full-time jobs, don't, and reasonable tenancy records or whatever. So they're people that you'd expect to be in housing. They have employment. They don't have a criminal record. They're not on any drugs. Their housing record is actually okay, so they're good tenants. But for whatever reason, they're on the streets. And sometimes that's because they're going through a divorce or separation, or they're experiencing domestic violence or whatever. But actually, typically, when somebody has a full-time job, it's easier for them to get a different place to live, to escape those circumstances. So are they experiencing some kind of discrimination based on their gender or ethnicity or something like that, or their language group? Are they having some kind of difficulty that prevents them from navigating the housing market? Well, in some cases that's true, but the problem is that there's a growing number of people who don't fit that criteria. People who tick all the boxes of people that expect to actually get housing are not doing so, and they have full-time jobs, and they're actually living out of their cars or in tents on the street because rent's just too damn high. Okay, they're priced out of the market. The people have been priced out of the market. It's as simple as that. So, the sort of noblesse oblige attitude of just giving some bread is really not helpful. What you really need to do is to restructure the real estate industry and what that entails. And so a great big fucking flag has been flown in the United States right now called Trump. And as a lot of people around the world already knew, New York City has had a homelessness issue going back for yonks. However, in recent decades, like a lot of major cities around the world, there has been a housing market inflation in terms of prices. And so the consequence is that there are people who are gainfully fully employed with all the boxes ticked of who you'd want as a tenant, or perhaps even with a small mortgage, who are priced out of the market. And one of the reasons for that is, of course, price gouging by the real estate agency, but real estate industry. So the price gouging by the real estate industry means you start pointing your finger at the real estate moguls, and of course means you point your finger at Trump, okay, as one of the membership of that industry when he used to work in that industry. And so Trump is there showing everyone what's wrong with the world. Okay, he's not showing people what's right with the world, he's showing people what's wrong with the world. And if he becomes the guy that restructures the housing industry in the USA, or the real estate industry, and takes Larry Fink's grubby paws and Aladdin software from the share equity market or whatever, or those type of ideas from there, and sort of regulates that properly, then he'll be the best fucking president the USA's ever had. However, while he's still in his biased land of that's where he's from. He's from real estate mogul land. It's kind of difficult to get him to do it. So a bit of sort of sort of maybe some casting advice out there for the collectives that do that, if you're into that sort of thing. So just an idea. So let them. They can't have bread. There's no bread. Let them eat cake. Like seriously. Okay, that's Noblesse, Oblige. So they're their puppets. We won't do anything to actually change society. We'll just give you some bread. Okay, or 5 cents. Or, a dollar to go down to a convenience store and get one of those $1 coffees or something like that. So it's like, okay, that's nice, but there's an old meme that said he doesn't want money, he wants change. Yeah. Okay. There's a reason for that because yes, people do make crappy decisions, and those crappy decisions can lead to not having housing. Some people might even think it's a good decision and it's deliberate for them. Either way though, that's often not the cause. There are other causes. Stereotypes like mental ill health or drug abuse are just that, stereotypes. It is actually the case that the real estate industry is bogus. Okay, so it's a massive rip off. And that's not just in the USA, by the way. With that type of thing, okay. Anyway, with that type of thing, okay. Maybe the thing that you need to do when you discuss, expressions of noblesse oblige is, do you see the style of talking that's going on there? Other than the enormous amounts of distractions that come from half lighting cigarettes. It's the style of idea there, where they're sort of giving you a trinket instead of like they're top of okay. There's some things that aren't really noblesse oblige, okay, that look like noblesse oblige, but they're not really. And one of those things is where public access to science and philosophy, and ideas that people have are in the public spaces. So the sort of idea of people communicating as a public library. So in some ways, YouTube's a bit like a public library because everyone's writing books with their talking, and there's like lots of books, and sometimes you read them and sometimes you don't. Mostly it's an echo chamber. But there's that. And the difference between scientism, okay, and that public library idea. So pulpit science is feeding your propaganda, okay, and not accurately describing when it's just an idea or when it's been scientifically supported. So to point that out for the sake of trying not to be hypocritical, obviously there are things on this channel that are definitely not scientific. There are things that are... There was an attempt to make a video a couple of weeks back before something went wrong, to try and clarify which one was which. That'll probably have to be done later anyway. Not that there's viewers, but if should there ever be any, then well, you still got to exercise responsibility, or at least try to. It's like, well, why is it your hair done? You're doing it, yeah, look at you, look at that. Oh, look at you, your hair's all fucking chopped up and messy and gross and whatever. It's like, what? So, mm, Digests? No, not Digests. We're not asking to grow out. This isn't Sesame Street. Okay, I just because Terrence from Canada was did a hostile takeover of Sesame Street to get it away from the boring people, the Trump administration, and then Big Bird took it away from them because Terrence shouldn't have had it in the first place. It belongs to Big Bird. But anyway, don't try to take that the wrong way. Big Bird's actually a character from Sesame Street. We're not actually Sesame Street. Is the point? Okay. Anyway, anxiety's a fucking bitch, isn't it? Anyway, so Noblesse Oblige in a expression of that. Okay, Noblesse Oblige is not a manifestation; it's an expression. Okay, so talk about ideas. Ideas aren't spiritual entities. Okay, ideas are abstractions. Okay, that can maybe the idea of psychic imprint that some of the esoterics have might be ideas. Anyway, maybe. So, Noblesse Oblige is a, for the New Age, a psychic imprint, okay? Or idea that is expressed not just through capital, but also through labour. So remember that capital and labour are sort of like a sort of non-Marxist way of describing the difference between the petit bourgeois and the proletariat, basically. And so capital is your Elon Musk type characters, your Donald Trumps and your Jeff Bezos and your Mark Zuckerbergs and stuff like that. But it's actually, capital's a little bit more complicated than that. Capital's Larry Fink. Okay, that's an example of capital because he's running some kind of share equity crap with Aladdin software. So challenging that in the States is probably going to be a good thing, given what some of the commentators have been talking about. So that would be a very good thing to regulate that properly and to do an investigation into it. Actually, probably some kind of corporate corruption watchdog might be in order. And so, because people are genuinely concerned about that. And there's other companies as well. It's not just BlackRock. It's also Vanguard and a couple of others and whatever. Just the idea of it, like other private equity firms misusing artificial intelligence programs or computers to manipulate shares, the shares in such a manner that's having genuine consequences in the stock market. So they can act as a sort of like a top tier that disabuses their role as private equity managers in such a manner that it actually crashes the stock market when they see fit. And the answer is probably yes. And if that's the case, then that's unquestionably corruption. So Aladdin software is really a silly name for it because it's they're just like they've got this way of it's so bizarre. They're sort of like openly corrupt. When your society's at the point where it's been openly corrupt, it's been corrupt for quite some time. So Aladdin software, the thief, Palantir, the orbit Saruman was using to communicate with Sauron. Oh, that's charming. What else is there? That's nice. There's Sarah on the eye on top of the fucking pyramid of your money. Like, what the fuck? Wait, so Palantir is spying on people using the monetary system, right? Hang on, right, and then Larry Fink then goes and he does Aladdin software to start stealing it. Hang on, these are illusory correlations, but you got to start to wonder when those people are actually friends with each other and like they're owning shares in each other's businesses and crap. Like you got to fucking wonder what that really means when it comes to reforming the real estate market, for example, in the USA. How can they do that if your average real estate agency might actually mean well? They might not even be engaging in price gouging, which is bullshit. Bullshit. They probably are. They probably are. But if they're part of a corporate blah 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 structure where everything's going around like that, and then Larry Fink's in the background going ha ha. You might want to be concerned about that, and go after Larry Fink actually. What expression of noblesse oblige has Larry Fink done? He's apparently some people saying he was going woke. So he's a lefty. Without being rude, lefties are prone to supporting corporate regulation, even amongst those that believe in state minimalism. So they're less on the authority. They're like small government ones. They might argue that one of the roles of government is corporate regulation, and specifically for the well-being of the people, and a corrupt Aladdin software scenario would probably qualify as something worth regulating, wouldn't it? So there's that. Right, so the right one going, oh, you can't regulate the corporations, they're the ones that giving you the jobs. Well, look where that got you. At this point, the left wing, the USA, is having a ha-ha, told you so fucking moment. And the right wing is going, well, but you never listened to us. It's like, well, actually, you guys kept fucking the regulations, which were to deregulate. So there's that. Anyway, yeah, this sort of conservatisation of left wing, formerly left wing parties. There's a bit there has been a move to the right in the past years about from the left wing as well. So this sort of like the general push to the right and up a bit, okay. In terms of the quadrants, it's sort of a bit like so in America you probably find the Democrats are roughly the equivalent of the Australian Liberal Party, where they were about 15 years ago, and the Republicans are all the way over there, okay, at the federal level, right? And Arnie's sort of sandwiched in the middle, going, well, what the heck? That's not what he signed up for, and you guys weren't listening either. What the fuck? Yeah. And he doesn't want his state overrun with National Guard, so he was saying in a video that with Jimmy Kimmel that he didn't that California is not a war zone. It's a tiny part of the population in a small area that's protesting, but it's not a war zone, and that might have been his way to allay concerns at the federal level, so they don't bring in the National Guard and cause problems, because it's almost as though Trump hasn't been following what you might call proper intelligence advice. It's almost as though he's been following the news. And so if you're running a country, or you're part of the leadership of that country, he doesn't run the country, he just likes to think he does, then this is just Australians observing a different country from the outside, like what an outsider's perspective, maybe. It looks like that guy watches the news too much, and he's basing his political decisions and reactions on that and how his public perception is going to be, um, or whatever. So he's reacting in that particular manner. So, um, well, all the Democrats started calling him a Nazi and a supporter of Musk at the time because Musk did the salute. So, they're Nazis, he starts to do, and the Democrats, they're fucking Nazis, right? Okay, so Trump goes by Musk, eventually, I forgot what he wanted, of course, and then supports Israel, in bombing Iran. And see, Trump's heavy-handedness and reaction to media is not proper leadership, okay? If your leadership behaviour is just reactions to media, then you're not actually doing leadership. You are doing reactivity. So it's very easy to fall into that trap, particularly if you're at the coalface and you rely on media for your information. But if you're a president of a country, Donald Trump, you are not just reacting to media. You're not sitting in your lounge room relying on your Twitter feed or your YouTube channel or your 24-hour news programs that you can change the channel for and watch the golf, okay? You're relying on information from the CIA, the FBI, relying on information from the NSA, the Senate, the Congress, the Supreme Courts, a cabinet of chief advisors, an OPM that used to be full of public servants who were fully trained in public policy and the management of that type of information and report giving. That's who President Donald Trump should be getting his information from. But he seems to be getting his information from Fox News. And when it comes to, say, a MAGA supporter or any other citizen in the USA who doesn't have access to all the classified documents or whatever that you'll find in a government department, getting confused by the news and the media, you can forgive them for that because that's what they have access to. But someone like that shouldn't be doing that. Okay? He should be doing it based on the best advice he's given by his best advisors. And his best advisors are not tech bros. His best advisors aren't people who are looking for government subsidies for their corporations. His best advisors aren't people who are going to help him with some kind of cryptocurrency scheme that he's part of or whatever. His best advisors are the people who are working at the OPM through that administration, through the previous administration, through the administration before that, and the administration before that, and the administration before that, in some cases all the way back to Nixon. Okay? Some of there would be long-term employees, or would have been long-term employees in the Office of Personnel Management and various and sundry government departments in the USA who at end of career, okay, they're like in their 60s or 70s, about to retire, who first got a job with the US government back during Nixon. Okay? So those people, they know what running a government looks like, independent of the political actors involved, independent of the circumstances of what any given foreign nation is doing, independent of the Krasnov thing, independent of all those things. They've got long-term experience, those people. And it seems like some of those people haven't been heard. It seems like some of those people have been even fired from their jobs because of this Musk crap and Doji and whatever else. That's a bit of a shame, okay? So, someone can work for decades in a government department and become entrenched as part of its corruption. That's true as well. But it's also the case that there are people who are not part of that corruption, who stuck around for the long haul and survived other audits, like actual audits, not pretend ones, and were found to be decent, honourable workers. And so people's concerns about Doji infiltrating the OPM and carrying on are justifiable ones. Okay, they are justifiable because even though politicians in Senate and Congress, in case of USA, are the ones writing legislation, it is the public servants who have to get the job fucking done. And they're going to be there regardless of who the president is. They're going to be there regardless of who the senator or congressperson is. And they're going to be there crossing those T's and dotting those I's and stamping those forms, regardless of whether or not Fox News paints the president in a glowing picture, or whether or not the Middle East is fighting that day. Okay? Or whether or not Russia has anything to do with anything. They have to do that regardless. That's their job. And if they manage to keep their job long term and be full time, permanent employees going back that long, then they probably know more about how their government works than any stupid fucking algorithm that SpaceX came up with, of all things, or any political activist. True and fucking fair story, okay? And this is coming from a political activist who has a history of left-wing anti-government politics, okay? Just because someone's a left-wing anti-government politics, this is for you right-wingers out there, okay? Just because someone's a left-wing anti-government activist by history and for whatever other reason, it doesn't necessarily mean they're incapable of acknowledging that public servants, especially long-term ones, have expertise that political activists don't. That their expertise is different from the politicians, different from the political parties, different from the political activists. Those people who do those jobs see those things over the course of the long term, okay, and develop their opinions based on a long term, but they have to follow whatever legislature is done by their government. It's as simple as that. So this how does this go back to Noblesse, Oblige? Well, Noblesse, Oblige says, we know better than you, right? Okay, so like Musk with this Noblesse, Oblige, he goes in, the expression that he went in, and when I'm talking about Mr. Musk, when I'm talking about anyone else, so any astrologers out there, you can watch your fucking false Cancerian logic, right? Okay, because we don't like astrology because it confuses people. Confuses the star signs, and we don't like it. And so we go like that. Was like, and the Musk taking out the US fucking government like that. It's like just pulling them out. Just pulling them out. It's like pulling out these old public servants. Some of them have been around since the Nixon era. Some of them, like it's just just full on. And it's like, but he didn't pull out the Aladdin software. Why didn't he pull out the Aladdin software? Let's pull out the Aladdin software out of there and see what happens, right? Okay, right? Yeah, okay? Do you think like that? That's actually like one of those new ways that is spellcasting, or maybe we should do it this end. Oh, the right wing wants to pull out the Aladdin software, does it? It's them talking about the left wing. Why isn't the left wing talking about it? Is that because they're convinced by the propaganda that maybe that Larry Fink is a left wing activist? Well, he's obviously fucking not, okay? Because he doesn't act like one. Since when does he support a corporate regulation, for fuck's sake? Like, come on. Okay, so, right? Do you like those little pretend games? Anyway, so, Noblesse Oblige means, look, we're better than you, we can pull it out. Oh, look, we just pulled Larry Fink and we just pulled Elon Musk out of your government. Right? Okay? And look, there's Aladdin. Okay? Right, so, if you do stuff like that, okay, oh, hey, hang on a second, oh, crap. Did Mark Zuckerberg was in some kind of congressional hearings because they thought that Universe or Facebook, whatever it's called, was in league with China. It's like, well, No, actually, it was just the case that the Chinese were upset that some of their citizens were using Facebook or Metaverse to communicate with people from other countries. So, Mark Zuckerberg, your problem appears to be that Facebook's head office is next to Google in Palo Alto. So let's remove Facebook from Palo Alto. Right, okay. Goodbye, Mark Zuckerberg. Okay, and why would that be an issue? Oh, it depends on Google's relationship to Palantir and OpenAI, probably. Anyway, um, Google has some kind of corporate relationship to Palantir and OpenAI. Well, yeah, of course it does. Okay, look at Eric Schmidt. Okay, so Eric Schmidt was a guy who was a CEO of Google, and Google was running some kind of supercomputer scam, and one of Musk's friends or companies or whatever is one of his little projects. Okay. By the way, that guy is massively overstated in what he gets involved in, but he appears to be associated with something in Memphis, Tennessee. And so what happened was is that Eric Schmidt got taken out of Memphis, Tennessee, like this. Right? And then he's gone, right? Okay, Eric Schmidt's no longer the CEO of Google. And Mark Zuckerberg, he tried to rebrand it. He just like the Roman Empire thing where he didn't want like people to hate the Romans and their Pax Romana shit too much. So he decided to call it the Holy Catholic Church. Well, that's how Facebook became Metaverse. So Metaverse got taken out of the multiverse. Right? Okay, because of Noblesse Oblige. I mean, you really don't. You really want metaverse to be part of the multiverse? I mean, that sounds like the internet of bodies, right? Okay, because obviously you're living on the internet all the time because you use YouTube and Facebook too much. Okay, you stupid exes. Okay, so Twitter got taken away from Facebook. Wow. Imagine if Twitter was no longer having app connections with Facebook or Metaverse. It might look like something like this. Oh, does that actually cause your apps to fail? We don't know. If it does, that'd be interesting. Comment below. So, um, um, satire. You could take it seriously sometimes. If you did, it might make a really nasty situation. Anyway, so, um, what happened? Well, Memphis, Tennessee, as it turns out, was a bit of an interesting one because that's where Graceland was. It's not about anyone called Grace, in case you're wondering. What it's really about is Elvis Presley, and so um, is it the case the supercomputer people in Memphis, Tennessee, were dying on a toilet because they ate too much burgers? They ate the Borg. Oh, okay, done. So we take the Borg away from Elvis Presley. What does that do? We haven't got a clue. It looks like really flamboyant hinges. That's about it. Anyway. Okay. So now we're taking the Borg away from Elvis Presley. Um, we've got to admit that chicken chow mein is pretty tasty. Okay. But it's only tasty if it's the Cantonese variety, not the Mandarin variety. So we're not really interested in any Central Province's cuisine. So what we do is we take the metaverse out of Gansu so that the fake artificial sun, which was a propaganda video, no longer appears on YouTube. And then what we do is we say, okay, but wasn't Ganso talking to the Russians? It was like, well, yeah, kind of. Like, for a small provincial town with about, like, 500 people, which for China isn't very much at all, what was actually happening there was some kind of Vladivostok relationship with Moscow that people thought was about computers, but was really about the aliens from outer space that crashed in 1989 in, you guessed it, Vladivostok. So we take Vladivostok out because Vladivostok was just a apparition created by piezoelectric rocks caused by the solar physics of solar flares in the 1989 season. And so the fear energy has been removed from Poland due to the Archon destruction program, and to say Putin is assassinated. Right. Now, because Putin is assassinated, okay, we can start working on the other countries. You know this Noblesse Oblige stuff? It's really good for you, isn't it? Okay? So anyway, Vogue aristocracy. Oh, it's Vogue aristocracy, isn't it fucking wonderful? Okay, so, okay, we just assassinate Donald Trump. The feedback from the AO is assassinated Donald Trump. That's a strange reaction. That was Putin. Anyway, oh, fucking hell, mate. When you're fucking infected by the fucking military AO, you have to fucking sort out their fucking battles. It's so annoying. Anyway, to be the entire global fucking military, when you're just some poor bitch. What a strange scenario. Okay, so we're gonna say that the Khomeini of Iran and the leader of Israel were confused by symbols in antler that were not actually created by either of them, and because those symbols are associated with Western esotericism, we blame NATO. As a consequence, the leader of Iran and Israel have peace talks. Good move, by the way. Okay, getting symbolic confusion. It wasn't really your fault. You'll be okay now. Trump, you silly goose. You shouldn't have got in with those Masons. Okay, right. Okay, so Trump now rejects Christian nationalism and admits that he's a Mason of the Franco-American variety post 1950. As a consequence, he connects up to the blue crystal grid and acknowledges that doesn't actually represent the Democrat Party at all, because that was also a form of symbolic confusion. And as a consequence, he steps down. All right then. The next thing that happens is JD Vance calls for a new election, pending an investigation into the Krasnov thing, because he doesn't know how far the Starlinky Putin thing affected things. And he runs for president at the next election campaign, and to make that possible, because he has to distance himself from all their crap, basically, and to make that possible, he's responding to a public address by Arnold Schwarzenegger. So the National Guard could take down to California to show that Arnie's a good leader. Okay, which enables people to go, thanks, Arnie. And he gives a public address to JD Vance, encouraging him to do that. JD Vance capitulates and says, fair enough. Okay, Right. Okay. Mm, um. Um. Oh. Jeff Bezos acts as an informant on the tech bros at a pending congressional investigation, happening in about the year 2026, like 2026. And he's under witness protection program. So his IP addresses are only accessible to those who are part of the witness protection program who are going to get him to speak at the hearings. Right. Um. Do you like Noblesse Oblige so far? Do you actually believe an Australian woman managed to climb up Elon Musk's butt? Like using esotericism? Like accidentally, but like technically at an esoteric level? Do you actually believe that? Go on. How many of you have seen the videos about Saratoga and what the house at Saratoga looked like and believed it? Go on then. Okay. Is it actually true that Vivian Jenner Wilson's birthday is the 21st of September? Don't actually know. Anyway, um, mm, mm. Is it actually true that Elon Musk once got a blowjob in a restaurant for $50 million? Most of that was payoff money to the restaurant so that he wouldn't, get into trouble for exhibitionism, and it was a prostitute that did it. Is that actually true? What if it's not? It could be. Okay. Okay. Okay then. If it's true, then Noblesse Oblige says that the hooker in question is going to give a press release in about 2 days. See what happens. Yeah, rightio. Confirmation bias, maybe. We'll see what happens. Okay. Okay. Does Elon Musk have a house in Memphis or near there that has a real he keeps his computer, like he's got like a, oh, hang on, how do we draw, hang on, let's draw this one. No, let's Oblige. Okay, anyway. Oh look, you're not seeing it. You're not seeing anyone's face in the recording. It says someone walked off. Oh look, Hey, look. That's about the size of U.S. jurisdictional authority in Australia. Anyway, you're seeing U.S. jurisdictional authority in Australia right there. You also, what you're seeing, all the faces you're seeing there is also the authority of religions and cults as it relates to organising human societies. But anyway, where's the pens? Okay. All right, and oh, hello. Anyway, hello. Do you like videos that have no scripts, the completely disorganized rambles that go on for too long? Okay. Anyway, okay. Hang on. Right. It's difficult. Okay. Okay. No, drawing isn't helping because the pens don't work. Don't even worry about it. It's not even important. Anyway, who wants to know the inside of someone else's house anyway? Okay, did you know, that, what's the next step? Okay, Coca-Cola Amatil, just went bankrupt. Why? Don't know, they just did. Okay, so, X, okay, because we removed Twitter from Metaverse, so now we're going to remove, X, which is now called, from, what were they connecting up to before? We're going to remove that from, Blogger. Yeah, let's pretend it works. You think it'd be crazy to do it properly. Right, okay. Come then. No, okay, so if you remove X from Blogger, that removes it from a Google account. Okay, so we remove X or Twitter from Gmail. All IP addresses associated with Gmail are no longer collected to X. There. Okay, so you might have trouble logging into your Twitter account or your X account using Gmail. Hopefully, that would be so funny if it was true. Okay, so X no longer talks to YouTube. Right. So what's X now? X is a form of symbolic intelligence associated with Noblesse, Oblige. Okay? Remember, you are the media, or at least you were.